I've got Darren Clark here with me. Welcome to the show, Darren.
Thank you for having me.
Such a pleasure. I'm so curious to hear more about your story. He's the ambassador of the British Dyslexia Association,
Yep.
And that's a conversation that we want to dive into right now.
Absolutely.
And maybe you could start by hearing a little bit about your story, because I know for a while you didn't even know that you were dyslexic. So maybe you could share a bit about that.
So for me, all throughout school, I suppose mostly childhood, I knew there was a certain block, and I didn't know I was dyslexic until probably about 6 years ago, actually.
What?
Yeah, so it's been quite a journey. So I left school with no qualifications.
In school, did you ever sense that something was off?
Yeah,
or
I
you
sensed,
just,
not so much in primary school,
Yeah.
but definitely secondary school.
Yeah.
When the lessons were getting a little bit more tougher, I just didn't get it. You know, the teacher would say over and over and over again, and I would tend to go home from school with a headache and not really understanding what it was. And so I knew there was a bit of a block somewhere, but I didn't know what it was. A lot of the time the teacher would just put me in a separate room with a colouring in book to occupy me rather than put me through lessons, which subsequently meant that I left with no qualifications. Right.
So what were some of the signs that you exhibited early on?
Yeah, I think it was just sort of exhaustion, frustration in the sense that the more I tried to concentrate on something, the more I wouldn't be able to concentrate. I think the signs were if I get quite tired, then the letters on the page would start moving around, which as a young child it was quite scary, I suppose. It was a bit strange.
Right, so I'm curious to know, like in that moment when you're seeing the letters moving around, did you share with anyone?
No, I didn't, and I suppose because I didn't really know what was going on. You know, I would go home from school with, like I said, with headaches and frustration and not really understanding why I didn't get it, which made schooling, quite tricky. I attended every day, but there was never really the same thing. The same thing happened every single day. I would try, not really get it. The teachers wouldn't understand it.
Yeah.
So subsequently, it was quite tricky.
So how did that affect your relationship with school, with learning, and also moving out of your school and continuing into the workspace?
Yeah. So like I said, school I found really difficult. I would just the frustration of walking into a classroom, not knowing that you're going to be succeeding in that lesson, being put in a separate room and given a colouring in book to do. So I was quite happy to leave school.
Right.
But when I left school, leaving school with no qualifications is quite tricky to get any job.
Right.
So subsequently, I got my first job, 12 hours a week in a supermarket pushing trolleys.
Wow. Right.
Which was after 17 application forms that I had to fill in, and you kept getting rejected because you had no qualifications, even for any job. You would need certain qualifications, but I kept getting rejected.
Yeah.
And luckily enough, I managed to get my 17th application, which was a 12-hour a week trolley job.
And I can only imagine the kind of blow it sort of takes on your confidence and just feeling that you can do it, and at least especially when it's not diagnosed and you don't understand what it is. So tell me about the time that you then, 6 years ago, realized what it is that
I then fell in love with retail because it was more hands-on rather than book studying, and managed to progress my career in different retailers and got to a very sort of senior level within the corporate industry. But I got to a level where I couldn't grow anymore. For me, it's all about learning. So I wake up like a sponge every day, trying to absorb something. So I left that and started my own business, which was subsequently a cleaning round. We're the Spotless Group. And then we've got Spotless Domestic Cleaning, Spotless Commercial Cleaning. So we've kept everything simple. I love simple. But there was always a block. But the diagnosis of dyslexia was one afternoon I was watching a television program, and there was a lady that ran a floristry business, and she was being interviewed by the TV channel, and she was mentioning signs about her dyslexia, and she was saying she was more creative, and that's why she set up her own business. And she used to find school frustrating with the letters moving around and going home with headaches. And it was just like a little click in my head, and I was thinking, goodness, I know, that's similar. So then I started Googling dyslexia, researching it, and then I went in and got tested.
Wow.
But once I got tested, I didn't. It was almost like, I get it, and then move on then.
I was actually going to ask you, what was that like when you finally found out what it was?
It was a great relief in one aspect, but the other side, I don't like to ponder on the past and stuff. But I was thinking, if I'd been diagnosed, that I probably would have had more support, but then I probably wouldn't have been had that fight in me as much and wanted to progress. So so I'm happy it's been diagnosed, so I can now spread the word about it. But I cherish the stuff that I did on my own without being diagnosed as well, if that makes sense.
And then, of course, you then became the ambassador for BDA. Can you share what that role means?
Yes.
And some of the things that you have on your docket now that you're the ambassador.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So this thing and meeting yourself as well all came from a couple of months ago. So I've spoken to over 50,000 students over the past 7 years in schools on entrepreneurship, business, and now dyslexia, from schools, colleges, youth projects, and I thought I wanted to take the message further afield. So I sat there one evening and put together a bit of a profile and an email campaign, so to speak, and emailed 76 different organisations all the way across the world. And Phyllis from Kenya, delightful, came back and invited me to the country to speak at this event. But one of the other things as well is the British Dyslexia Association came back and said, we'd love you to get involved with conferences, and I was invited to the House of Lords to sit in with one of their meetings. So that was fantastic. And then I met with Helen, the CEO. We sat down and she said, look, how do you want to help this organisation? And I said, well, I want to be able to share the amazing things that you're doing. So we put together a project, and she said we'd love to have you as an ambassador for us, so you can help share the great word.
Yeah, right. And now that you know all that you know, right, about dyslexia, what are some of the things or ways that parents can really help support their children, or even be able to pick this out in their children before they even know what's happening with themselves?
Absolutely, and dyslexia in the UK, I mean, there's still so much work they need to be doing in schools and workplaces as well. But I think it's just understanding that, from a parent's point of view with the child, is that trying to understand it. If they can get diagnosed, it'd be fantastic early on. But understanding that it's not a learning difficulty in that sense. It's just something that we learn differently. So for me, I'm more visual than I am, writing things down. So if they've got a chosen task to do, they will get there. It's just a case of they may have to go around the houses to get there. So it's just understanding how that person, you can get the best out of that person. And some of the barriers, and work when you can work. I'm a morning person, so I'm up really early and I'm answering emails and working. But if I was to sit down on my laptop at 8 o'clock at night, it would take me nearly an hour to send an email with just a few words. And I would running a business, you'd fight against that. So I've got to do this email, I've got to do this email. But now I just shut the laptop down, go for a walk, re-energize, and then come back and tackle it.
So it's not about trying to fit them into this mold and sort of force them into this structured way of learning, but understanding how to sort of work with them.
And I think that's difficult, because if you look at the school system, especially in the UK, you have the hours between 9 and 3, and you're told you go in for an hour and you learn English, you go in for another hour, you learn maths, and sometimes with dyslexia, it doesn't work that way. You can't just switch from one subject to another subject to another subject, and that's why they find it a little bit difficult.
So then how can educators play a role in making sure that that they are patient but also impactful when it comes to teaching someone with dyslexia? How do they do that?
It's incredibly difficult. I mean, I think teaching is a fantastic thing to do, but again, really difficult. If you think you have a classroom of, say, 20 students, and you have a percentage of people that get it, you'll put the task out and they'll get it, and then then you have another percentage of people that need a little bit of support. But then if you throw a child in there with dyslexia, it throws the whole thing out. So it's more a case of supporting the teachers with understanding how to deal with someone with dyslexia, giving them more of, say, visual tasks, or just having that conversation and finding, what points do they find it overwhelming. And that's one of the things that I found. If I'm doing lots of different things at once, I find it so overwhelming that I would rather just and push it back.
Right.
So I think there needs to be more education in schools to help teachers.
Right. Okay.
With the teaching side of it, definitely.
Yeah, I hear you. Any last words as we wrap up? Anything that you'd like to share with someone who either has dyslexia, and you never know, there could be someone who's watching and for them it clicks, like, oh gosh, how he's described his childhood is exactly how I grew up. And so is there anything that you'd want to share?
I think, so school for me didn't work in that sense. I didn't, like I said, I didn't leave with any qualifications. However, that didn't stop me becoming into a senior manager role within a corporation and then setting up my own several businesses as well. So I think it's find something that you're passionate about, find something that you can do with ease, but share your story and talk to people and find out what those barriers are, and trust me, they're not as big. Keep things very, very simple, and you'll really succeed. Proven.
Look at you. Look at Darren, exactly. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy your time in Kenya. It's Darren's first time in Kenya, by the way.
Yes, it is, yes.
I know you've been to a couple of places, Elephant Sanctuary, Giraffe Center.
Yes.
You get to enjoy the country a little bit more.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'll definitely be back. It's been, I've had a fantastic welcome, so thank you so much.
Oh, lovely, lovely. Thank you, Darren. We've got to take a break, but we'll be back in a moment. Welcome back, everybody. We're at Park Inn by Radisson, and my next guest, her story is incredible and very inspiring. Welcome to the show, Alice Kirubo.
Thank you.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing well.
Yeah?
It's a good morning.
It's a good morning. It's a good morning, and great stories being shared. And why don't we start by, you sharing your story and why it is that you started your initiative?
All right. My story is rather simple and short. I started the Amara initiative because of a terrible experience that I had. On the night of 2nd of March 2012, I lost my 6-month-old daughter in a choking incident. And after that, I realized that so many people who I spoke to after that had a lack of knowledge on basic first aid. And in the next few months, I just sought to find out just how much do I know. It's unfortunate that I was not there at the time, but I also struggle with what would I have done, would things have been different and all that. Yeah. So the initiative is simply to create awareness on basic first aid and just try to increase everybody's knowledge on this very necessary skill.
Yeah. And I know that you've even had, like you specifically even work with not just families, but nannies as well, and caretakers, so that they really know, because usually they're the first point of contact, or usually are there with the children, and most of the time, exactly. And I know that you've handed out, I think it's over 1,000 certificates, in the past 3 years, is it?
When? Actually, 6
years. 6 years.
Yeah.
Oh, since 2012, right? Yes. My math. Oh my goodness. Yeah, since 2012. So what's that been like? What's that journey been like with educating, and what have you discovered about nannies and the people that we generally give so much control and power and responsibility to take care of our children? It's
been a very interesting journey. I started going for basic first aid for myself, and of course I pushed everybody for my family almost immediately after. I think it was 2 months after, because I was still in the shock of, you mean this can actually happen? Like, you can lose a life, you can lose a baby while feeding the baby, the simplest thing, the weaning process and all that. So initially it was for everyone, and it still is for everyone, but with a specific target for nannies, because they spent most of the time with the children. Now what I realized in talking with nannies is that most of them may not have the skills, may not have the knowledge, may not have even the confidence to take care of an emergency situation like you would maybe if you are there, I don't know. But the setup, perhaps, most of the time when you're looking for a nanny, you pick the next maybe available one. If you're more careful, maybe you interview 2 or 3 and then you pick one. But the kind of setting that maybe someone grew up with, they have traditional ways of dealing with emergencies, which are fine and work in some cases. But sometimes even the things you need, because when they come for a class, for example, and we ask them, if a child was bleeding, what would you do? And the nanny would say something like, maybe I'd get a raw banana peel and use it to, But you ask yourself, how many times is there a raw banana peel lying around in your house, The thing is trying to teach and educate our nannies that this is how you should handle this situation. Yes.
So as you're taking them through this course, what are some of the basics that you try and instill in them so that they leave, the wiser?
Mostly it's about choking. Of course, that's very personal to me. It's about drowning. Of course, because of our initiative, I hear so many accidents in a home. People are always getting in touch with me and telling me, oh, this happened and that happened. And so we want training for our estate or for our school kids or something. But one thing I wish to tell Kenyans, I wish we were less reactive to basic first aid. I wish we would take the initiative to just learn basic first aid for ourselves. I find first aid is something so giving. You learn first aid not to perform it on yourself, to perform it on someone else. And in that moment when you need it, you wish the person next to you would know exactly what to do. Because that was very clear to me on the night that I lost my daughter. There were so many people, so many people.
What do you mean so many people?
So many people, like when the alarm was raised and the nanny, but what kept being recurring is the fact that I didn't know what to do. Yes, I was given the baby, I didn't know what to do. And at this point, it was like the baby is quiet, but it's not like the baby is choking, you know. So no one was actively trying to get the obstruction out. It was like, why is this baby silent, you know? So knowing simple things like CPR, you know, like how to give back blows to a baby who is probably choking. Knowing things like when there are things like dry drowning, kids have drowned in buckets, you know, in the house. I'm talking about dangers that are just in the house. Broken bones. So those are the kind of things that you find in our course. But most importantly, we talk about prevention because we don't even want to get there. So we want to talk to nannies about what is it that you need to do to make sure that this accident does not even happen in the first place. We're talking about burns. We're talking about how you are taking care of the bathroom situation when you're bathing the baby, when you have a kettle in the kitchen, just simple things. So we talk about prevention first, which is a big thing for us. It's the first topic of the day. It's an 8-hour class. And then for the rest of the day now we're talking about how to handle accident situations.
So it's 8 hours from start to finish, and from then I guess the nanny should ideally be fully equipped to be able to handle
but for
an
the
emergency.
Industry, they say you need to have this training at least once a year because the details are many and they're small. You need to be reminded, you need to remind yourself, you need to have this information coming to you at least once a year. Because you're told how you handle an infant is not how you handle a 1-year-old.
I mean, because you're dealing with nannies, obviously a lot of the training is geared towards helping children. So from what age do you...
From zero to around 12, 13, just kids,
and I guess they get to understand what could potentially be harmful for children at different stages. Because you're right, we do keep hearing stories of like things that happened that you think, but how could it have happened, or isn't there something that could have been done? And essentially what you're doing is like equipping, you know, nannies and the caregivers to make sure that they do know what to do. How often do the courses take place?
I've been doing them on demand, but what I'm trying to tell people now, because I've noticed what I was telling you earlier about lack of initiative, taking the initiative for yourself, or rather reacting to a situation and wanting to have basic first aid because this and that happened in my estate or something. I'm asking people to just do it in their small communities. It can be their chama group, it can be their school, their kindergarten, their church, it can be their estate, you know.
Right, so that it's not driven by fear.
No, it's not driven by fear.
Oh my goodness, I don't want this to happen.
I know this happened
again,
to my
or I
friend.
don't want it to happen to me, or you know.
Yes.
Right, I hear you. So I know you have an EMT who's going to demonstrate what to do specifically when it comes to choking, right, or when there's an obstruction, as you said. So why don't we bring them out and they can guide us through what to do?
Yeah, that would be nice.
All right, so now I've got Babu Sitima with me, and he's an emergency medical instructor. Welcome, Babu.
Thank you.
I have so many questions, but I guess we should just dive right into in the event that that there's an infant and they're choking. What should one do, right? And we've got got actual props, little babies here. Oh, this one's heavy. This one's been eating very well. Good job.
The first thing, you'll notice they'll be fidgeting. They'll not be removing any sound. And probably you'll find residue of food, or maybe they had tried to burp, but it didn't come out, so it choked them. So you take them. You have to support the head.
Right.
Just put them like this, support the head. You see the way I'm holding?
And to be clear, infant is 0 to 6 months.
No, 0 to 1.
0 to 1.
Yeah, 0 to 1. Hold the infant, place them on your lap, ensure it's inclined.
Right.
You have to ensure it's inclined.
So I need to like
Yes.
give my lap a little
Exactly.
bend.
Because we are also working on gravity.
Yeah.
We want gravity to assist us. You use the edge of your palm.
Okay.
To hit the back.
Okay.
Now the problem is with mothers or people at home, they rub. Rubbing doesn't help.
You're right. You're just like this.
Yeah. Or they hit too light like this.
Oh yeah.
So you hit. You have to hit with impact. With impact.
but
Yes. But you also have to be careful.
Yeah.
Because the bigger the body, the harder the hit.
Okay. So where are we trying to hit actually?
You hit
where exactly?
at the middle of the shoulders.
Middle of the shoulders.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hit from behind.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah, 5 times.
2, 3. And do you like keep going?
4.
Like you keep
Yes,
pause?
you hit. Now,
5.
if the baby starts crying,
yeah.
it means they've been relieved of the choke.
Okay. Okay.
So you hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now you have to turn the baby around.
Okay.
Okay.
And
then,
so at this point, if they're crying, it's fine. But if
yes,
they're not
if they're
crying,
not, they'll still be
still
fidgeting
there.
properly. Yeah.
So,
so you have to turn them round.
Yeah.
Now the thing with the blockage,
Yeah.
it always has a tendency to come to the mouth.
Yeah.
Sometimes it sticks there.
Yeah.
You see, unfortunately, they have small mouths. They're different from adults, where when we are choked, it comes out automatically.
Yeah.
There has a tendency of sticking there.
Yeah.
So you might actually see it there.
Oh, and that.
If you can try and pick it out with your pinky finger.
Oh, because the mouths are little
Yeah,
too.
but you know, some of us have really big fingers.
Yeah,
So maybe you can try pick it out, then you find yourself pushing it in.
Oh.
Don't. Okay. So if it's too risky, don't risk that.
Yeah.
Then you turn them around again if you can see the object.
So the only reason you turn them around is to see if there's...
No. Now it's the next stage.
Okay, okay.
So you have to turn them around, place them again, working with gravity.
Okay.
Take 2 fingers.
2 fingers?
Place on the chest, at the center of the chest.
Yeah.
From their nipples, trail.
Oh, okay, that's
trail.
a good one. From the nipples, trail.
Center. Now press 5 times.
Okay.
Now you also have to be gentle as it is. You have to be hard.
Yeah.
Not too gentle, not too hard.
Right.
So press 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
Then again check.
And check.
Yes. Now continue.
But all this is happening very fast.
Yes.
Because right now, as we're talking, it's like, okay, check, turn around, see.
Now you need to be calm.
But you need
to be very calm.
Okay, so.
Because you miss a step. If you do 4, you haven't really reached the required number. Now you proceed again until it comes out.
Until it comes
5,
out. Okay,
then
so
again
let's see
5.
if I've got this.
Yeah.
Baby, feeding. I notice something is wrong. They're like not crying. Immediately I support the head, put my knee at an angle, and I hit the back with my palm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I pick up and I see if there's anything. If I can reach it, use my little finger. If not, do that again. Trace from nipple to center. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Wow.
Yeah.
You got it.
No, I'm really like paying attention. I hope you are too.
Yeah.
Okay, 5. And then what happens if I still can't see?
You again turn them back round.
We keep going.
And then you do that again 5 back slaps.
Okay.
Then you turn them again and do 5 chest thrusts.
Okay.
Okay. I'll continue until it comes out.
Okay.
Until it comes out.
Yeah.
There's a situation where it can't come out.
Yeah.
Where you unfortunately were not able to relieve them of the choking object.
Yeah.
For example, if they ate a toy, a Lego.
Oh,
A Lego has a tendency of sticking inside. So if in such situation, you proceed to CPR.
Okay.
Cardiopulmonary resuscitation.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll go there and we'll do it.
Okay, so now time for CPR. So we're going to go behind this desk.
Yes.
This table, rather. Okay. Ooh. All right, so we've got our babies here and we're about to perform CPR.
So basically, if the baby is not breathing, you immediately know what exactly is wrong. You begin by blowing into their mouth and nose 5 times.
Mouth and nose.
Mouth and nose 5 times.
Okay.
Again, you open the airway like this.
Oh,
you open the airway like that.
Yes.
So you hold their forehead, put 2 fingers.
Not too much, right? Just a little.
Until
all the way.
Until the end. Yes.
Okay.
Open the airway.
Yeah.
Then you blow in 5 times.
Okay. Yeah.
1.
Okay.
2.
Yeah. Oh, so you pause.
3.
Yeah.
4. 5.
At that speed, or would you be faster?
Every time you blow in, you have to leave that. You have to give a chance for the chest to go down.
Okay.
So the speed can be 2 seconds. It can be 3 seconds, but you don't blow in with a lot of strength, because if you blow in with a lot of strength, you may burst their lungs. So you have to be very gentle. It matters because if you're handling a baby who's 2 months old, they have delicate lungs more than a baby who's 10 months old. Okay, so you have to be very careful the way you're blowing in.
Okay.
Then after you blow in, you again locate the center of the chest, holding the head.
Yeah. Well,
remember,
at that
holding
position,
the head. Yes.
right? Okay.
Here.
Oh, here. Okay.
Then you press 30 times.
30.
Yes. So we go at the rate of, you know the song Staying Alive? Staying Alive. Yeah.
That is such a good movie. I'm never going to forget.
Yeah. So you go at that pace, Yes, until 30. Yes. So let's go.
Okay.
Let's go together. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. Then again you blow in twice. 1, 2.
Okay.
Did you notice that difference? You
So
began with 5, but you went to press 30.
Yeah.
But then you went to 2. Now you proceed pressing the chest 30 times
Again.
and blowing in twice.
Yeah.
Okay, until the baby resumes breathing.
Yeah.
But it can happen in a situation where the baby does not resume breathing, or you get tired. You're allowed to stop. If you get tired, you can get someone to help you.
Yeah.
Okay, so you proceed like that, until you stop.
Wow. And I like that you've also given us the paces at which we're supposed to like press, and you won't forget that. You won't forget that. So why don't you tell us, Babu, what are some of the other things that we've got on the table?
Okay. I have this, it's called a spacer.
Yeah?
Okay. A spacer is for asthmatic children.
Okay.
They use it, it helps them rebreathe the medication from the inhaler.
Yeah.
At this time, it's really dusty in Nairobi.
Right.
And we're getting into a cold season. Okay. So you can find that a lot of people are asthmatic these days. So whenever you find them with this situation, you can find them with this kind of inhaler. This is called a preventive inhaler.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you find them with this, it's liable that parents get spaces.
Yeah.
Okay. Because it helps working.
Okay.
It helps the worker. So you just, it's placed like that there.
Yeah.
You pull it out. You place like that there.
Okay.
Supported there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Then
it helps. And you hold it over so that they breathe it in.
yes. Most of the time, a doctor will tell you how you're supposed to use it
Right.
and everything once you get the proper prescription.
I've seen
It's a
one of
prescribed
those.
medication.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah. Then this is used in situations where, for example, you can have a baby who's bleeding from the mouth, and it's not your baby. Yeah. So you always have to protect yourself. Yeah.
Right.
You always have to protect yourself, because not every time you're gonna find it's your baby.
Yeah.
For example, if it's your friend's baby bleeding from the mouth,
Yeah.
it's advisable you protect yourself.
Right.
You can't have contact with blood from the mouth.
Yeah.
So we have this. We place it there.
Okay.
We place it on top. Okay, like that.
Yeah.
Support it. This one can also be used for an adult.
Okay. Okay.
It's the same size.
Right.
You place it there, then you blow from the top.
Right. See, this is why for sure you need to go for the training, because there's so many little bits and pieces that ideally and hopefully you should never have to use. You don't want to ever use this, but you never know. And like we were saying earlier, it's better safe than sorry.
Yes.
Better just know rather than be in a situation where you could have done something but didn't know how. Okay. But thank you so much, Babu. We've got to take a break, but we'll be right back in a moment. Remember, if you've got little ones in the house and you want to train the people around so that they know what to do in case of emergencies, then you have to check out Amara Initiative, and we'll take them through the training that's necessary, and I guess we can all sleep a little bit better. We'll be back in a moment.
then, you know, there's an elastic limit to everything. It was getting to a point that it's becoming too much.
Yeah.
And then, to be honest, if things are not okay at home, you cannot work properly.
100% agree.
Yeah.
So when is it that you decide to quit your job?
In 2016.
What month exactly?
In August.
In August, you decide, I've tried.
Yes.
This isn't working.
Yeah.
So now you have to stay at home and raise your son.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But then I was thinking I need to solve my problem.
Yeah.
In as much as I've left work, I'm not just going to stay at home. I need to solve my problem and go back to work. Then I realized what was my problem? It was house helps. Then I was like, how can I help other mothers who are also in my shoe?
Right.
But then they cannot resign. Some of them, they're the only breadwinners.
That's true.
So you cannot tell them to resign from work to
Yeah.
come back home and take care of their kids.
Right. So wait, so by this time, were you then just the only person taking care of your son, or did you have a house help or a nanny in that you had trained?
When I resigned, I was the only one.
Okay.
But I still had to get a nanny.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then go take them through the training process and everything.
Yeah.
So then I guess mompreneur comes up because you're trying to solve this problem. There's a lot of women going through it. So tell me about that.
So I registered Mompreneur Kenya.
Yeah.
And got all the legal documents that I needed to have.
Yeah.
Then I started sourcing for house helps.
Yeah.
I employed several people. I had associates in every region that would get me house help, do a background check, then send them over to me. So at first I would only place in Nairobi.
Okay.
But then we wanted to do something different. I wanted to train, because one of the challenges I also had is someone to train a nanny for me. Yes, sometimes I would get a good one, but because I did not have time to train them, they will not last because they did not meet my expectations. I'd get frustrated and they'd get frustrated as well. So I decided I was also going to train.
Okay.
But then I realized the market, there are so many people who are training.
Yeah.
But it was not efficient, because in as much as you got a trained house help, you'd still come back home and train them on how you expect your things to be done.
Yeah, because in your own home, things run differently. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I decided the training was going to be home-based. Like we give you a nanny, but we train on the job. So we come and train from your home as a client.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is what I started doing for myself.
Yeah.
So I was solving my problem first, remember?
Right. Yeah.
So I got a nanny. I trained that nanny for almost a month. On how to handle my child, how to handle my housework, and all that.
Yeah.
So now I had peace of mind, and I started doing it for other people.
Because then you'd really solved your issue at home, and it allowed you to step away a little, because also running a business is like there's almost like no time where you just get 9 to 5.
Actually,
you're always on the
actually
go.
Employment is much better. I can say that.
Yeah, because you've always got to like be upbeat, and there's no resting. So can you tell me about like what the training process looks like? And I know you also deal a lot with nannies who have to be trained to handle and be able to understand special needs children. So can you tell me about that, the training and everything?
When we started, we were only placing, but then we realized that the training was more challenging than even the placement, because there were several other people who were doing the placement, but not the training aspect of it. So the training involved childcare, because we were more concerned about the children. The mother is not there. You know, when your house calls, you can do even on a Saturday when you have time. But then your child, you need someone who is very reliable to live with your child. So the main training we do is on childcare. First aid, how to understand a special needs child, what they need at any particular point. If they're sick, what are you supposed to do? So that is the main. But apart from that, we do housekeeping, we do code of conduct. You know, some of them don't even know how to dress. Personal hygiene.
Okay. So are there certain skill sets that that parents who are going to work and having to leave their children with nannies should look out for in the person who's now taking care of their child, or certain values? Like what should a parent be looking out for as they're employing someone to step in as the caregiver for their child?
The most important is attitude. You know, if you have someone with the right attitude, it's easy to change them and transform them into what you want. If you have someone with the wrong attitude, no matter what you do, no matter the amount of time and money you spend on them, they will never appreciate. So the most important thing is attitude. And background check.
Right. And I mean, I don't know how many people, if you're watching right now, ask yourself, do you always do background checks? Now,
you'd get a client who is so desperate it's on a Sunday evening. The next day they're supposed to go to work. Then you're like, yes, I have girls, but I've not done the background checks. Then they're like, well, I'm letter too.
Yeah.
You shall finalize. But then when things go wrong, they turn back on you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So background check is very important.
I 100% agree. And I think as well, wouldn't you say trusting your gut? Because a number of times that you've been like, that something doesn't feel right here.
Yeah.
But you just suppress that feeling, and then, you know, months down the line, it's now glaring at you like, oh, look, this is why you shouldn't have done it.
Yes.
So trusting your gut.
Yeah, your instincts.
Yeah. So what's the kind of feedback that you've been receiving from parents who have had you come in and help train the nannies in their homes?
It's been awesome. I can tell you it's very fulfilling when a parent texts you and tell you that what you came and did into our lives has been very helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then at first it was not easy because there was a perception that all nanny agencies and all agencies that do placement are rogue.
Okay.
Yeah, like they're con people, they're walls. So sometimes people would text you with very wrong things.
Yeah.
And then you're like, no, this is not the kind of person I am. I'm just here to solve the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did you combat that? How did you beat that? Or to help transform people's mindset so that they start to trust you?
It is by the services we offer. What we say is that we'd rather not place than place and then get in trouble or get someone's child in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So have you found yourself, you know, sitting with someone, taking them through the training process and been like, something is off here, and then had to tell the parents?
Not once.
Okay.
Not
Oh, really?
twice. The training is quite cumbersome. And I can tell you there is an example. There's a day I went for training.
Yeah.
I just placed a girl.
Yeah.
Then we trained for 2 days. Then she was like, this is not the kind of thing I want. Because, you know, the kawaida thing is that they go to work, then they're told, mtoto anamkanga 5, anakunywa what. So that's the training. That is what they call training. Okay. So when they get someone to do proper training, like this is what you have to do, and then you're so, you know, you insist on things being done right.
Yeah.
The girl starts feeling like unaingilia maisha yao sana. So after 2 days, the girl was like, no, I'm not going to do this work.
Okay.
And the client was like, what did you do to my girl? Because they've been together for like 4 years.
In that case, then what do you do? Do you then just like step back and let things continue, or
no?
Yeah.
I had to intervene and talk to my client and just let them understand that the training was not easy as well. But finally, I was happy because she went back to work. Okay. And she opened up and said, the training was not easy.
Okay.
But now they're doing well.
Okay, good.
Thank God they're doing well.
And you've said something interesting too, which is that the clients come to you, you know, not necessarily with new people that they've hired, but people that they've had for a long time, which is now the idea of, you know, almost retraining or helping build their skills, right? Which is the same thing that happens in any company. After some time, you then need to take your employees through some kind of retraining or... so do you get a lot of that too? People calling you? Yeah.
The other thing I'm also trying to do is empower the girls. You know, the house helps in Kenya are not empowered. That is one thing I can say. Because you get someone who has had a house help for 3 years, but then they're looking for something to give to this girl as an appreciation, but they don't get. So that's where we come in. We go train them and certify them. We also give certificates. So in that case, they feel empowered. Feel like, anyway, I'm having a certificate for this job. So
I can imagine that must be so encouraging.
Yeah, it's encouraging.
I'm curious to know if you also do some kind of training for the parents. Sort of share with them that, you know, this is how you need to speak to the nannies, or this is how you need to treat the nannies. Do you ever have the reverse, that you have to sort of sit with the employers and be like, okay, these are the ground rules?
Yeah.
Do you do that? Okay.
Yeah, actually before we start the training for the nannies, we train the parents. And we get to know the expectations during the talks. As I told you, I've been narrowing down to a particular area, which is the special needs kids. And now it's more of training, counseling, and helping them. You know, most special needs parents, they are so on their own. They don't have forums and people to speak to. They don't know how to handle the situations. It's expensive to raise these children, so they have to work. It means they need a nanny to take care of the child. So it's training plus counseling.
Wow, it's such a beautiful thing to know that there's someone who understands,
Yeah.
and you've been through it yourself. You know,
Yeah.
you've got a special needs child, so you really understand their needs.
Yes.
I'm also curious to know if you work a lot with fathers, because I know a lot of times it's the moms who step in. I'm curious to know if you have a lot of dads who are, you know, highly involved in this process.
It's interesting that of late, most fathers have been calling just to find out. And then before you place a nanny, you'll find both parents, which really excites me. You know, it's no longer about mommy alone. So you'll get home, you go with the nanny, then you sit down, then daddy and mommy will be there, and they're like, this is how you need to handle the baby, this is what we expect from you. And it makes me happy because fathers are beginning to get involved.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's important, really. I mean, it's a unit.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the support, if not everyone is involved, then it just makes it harder.
Yeah.
Okay, so would you say you're happy with the fact that, you know, you ended up quitting your job and started this journey? Would you say that you're proud and happy of where you are and what you've done?
I'm very proud. I'm very happy. But then there's someone, I still have a vision. There's someone there's somewhere I'm heading to. I'm not yet there, but I'm happy for the far we have been. For the far we have gone, it has taken the hands of God. And then I'm sure we'll be there.
I believe it. And I think, especially since you're driven by such a passion and an understanding of what it takes, that I mean, stars, it's not even the limit. Like, it's far up there and beyond, to the moon and beyond. Thank you so much, Abba.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you too for watching, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that you enjoyed today's show, and I hope that you learned something, and that really the things that happen to you don't define you, and that you can still rise above and take ownership and control of the situation and build something beautiful out of it. Now, we've talked a lot about children here and there on today's show, and I have to tell you that my dawa have a bunch of stuff that will help all you mummies and daddies that are busy working and want to find easy, convenient ways to bring stuff into your home without having to stop by the shops and like queue up and be stuck in traffic. So check them out. They've got all sorts of things: diapers, wipes, diaper cream, everything really. My dawa is available on Google Play, and you can also check out their website, www.mydawa.com. Do not forget to use the discount code S15 because you get 15% off. And hey, who doesn't like a discount? Thanks everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.